8.
Arrête de bouger.
And we're into the film review with Lena Lamont. And today, first of all, we're looking at one called Tomboy. Good morning, Lena.
Bonjour, Wamo. This is another French film for us. Lovely little French indie film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Tomboy. Such a straightforward premise and absolutely beautifully handled. You'll be able to see from the trailer, and those who go online and look at the trailer will be able to see that there's a little, well, it looks like a little boy, beautiful little boy, little short hair, tiny, tiny little frame. And in fact, this is a little girl.
Right.
And the little girl and her little sister are moving to a new neighborhood, and I believe they're just outside of Paris. And she looks out of the window and sees the neighborhood kids playing and kicking a football around. And she goes downstairs and is approached by a little girl who says, "Hi, I'm Lisa. Are you new? What's your name?" And for some reason, the little girl says, "My name's Michael."
Huh.
And Lisa goes, "Oh, well, you know, if you ever want to come and play, you can, because the boys won't let me play football, but they'll let you play, obviously, because you're a boy."
And then it turns into Bend It Like Beckham.
No, it doesn't turn into Bend It Like Beckham, and it doesn't turn into Tootsie or anything else like that. But the extraordinary thing is, on the twist of one little, "My name's Michael," all of a sudden she has to be Michael.
Right.
So whenever she's out playing with all her friends, they just completely take it for granted that she's a boy. And, of course, in that pre-teen androgynous body sort of way, she can get away with that. And
this is like a summer, isn't it?
it's a whole summer. That's exactly right. So, you know, a couple of months, right, of perpetuating this this falsity, if you will. And now the beauty of it is that the little actress is I think her name is Zoe Heran. I think she'd done very little before. I'd read somewhere that she walked into the casting for it with long, long blonde hair, but everything about her immediately, the casting director and the director just said, that she's the girl that we want. And the performance from somebody who must be 8 or 9 or, I don't know, maybe 10 even, is extraordinarily mature. And the nuances of... You know, I just think it's extraordinary for such a young actress to be able, not least to be able to portray a little boy, but to just... She says very little. Everybody else does all the work around her in a way. Do you know what I mean? So her responses are just extraordinary, and there are some lovely, touching little moments. Her little sister Jeanne figures out early on, I think that my beloved big sister is pretending to be a boy. Totally goes along with it. And... like, there are some lovely little nuances, like, I know it's a little bit of a giveaway, but for example, they say, "Right, we're going to go swimming tomorrow." So she's like, "Well, crikey, I only have togs that are like girl togs."
Yeah.
So you see her in the bedroom cutting the top off her togs and trying it on just as little boy togs.
Yeah.
And then, of course, she notices that there's an absence of sort of a figure around her lower nether regions.
Yes.
So she fashions out of plasticine a little prosthesis, really.
Right.
And do you know what I mean? And it's like, how amazing to be so young, to be so insightful, to be sort of so clued up, and yet to have made this, in effect, this terrible sort of, well, how the hell are you going to get out of this when school starts? And, of course, that's what it all leads up to. How is she going to get out of this? How, you know, she this is Laura as a little girl, she's Michael as a little boy. How's she going to handle that, you see? So that's kind of what the drama revolves around.
Wow.
Beautiful film.
Beautiful new French film called Tomboy. Do we know what it is in French? No.
No, I don't actually. I don't. No.
That's fair enough. All right. Talking about sweet things, here's something else.
Christchurch, New Zealand, city of the plains. Here, when spring comes to Canterbury, daffodils bloom gay and golden in the woodland of Hagley Park.
Christchurch has had a massive earthquake.
And I just ran for my son.
Come to Mummy, Isabel, come to Mummy.
And I say sweet things because I've heard that there is a lot of emotion in this film. When a City Falls is the documentary about the Christchurch earthquakes.
Locally made, obviously. Gentleman called Gerard Smythe. I don't know his background, but for some reason he had the forethought to pick up a camera before and on the around the time of the September earthquake and then subsequently. And of course, you think back to September only a year ago, and we thought it was all just a lucky break, right?
Yeah.
Terrible earthquake. People I know were in it, experienced it, and it was like, wow, phew, you know. And the documentary wisely starts at the very beginning, and we see people talking of I guess back in those days, obviously it was all about the houses being sort of torn in two, wasn't it? And the liquefaction rising and all that sort of thing, which seemed to be the main consideration. So we see people talking about their responses to that earthquake, and there's this lovely little split-second scene where a couple are sitting at their picnic table and saying, yeah, we had to drive through the streets that were, you know, the water was really high, and at least it now justifies our having an inner-city four-wheel drive, you know.
Yeah.
And then the film carries on. Oh, and you see what's poignant about that initial bit, of course, is we see that the cathedral and so many of the landmarks that were ostensibly untouched. And there's that relief, but for the viewer there is not that relief, because of course we know what's coming. And then it takes us through February and the aftermath of February, and then to the June serious aftershock, where I have to say there was more damage then that I didn't appreciate how significant the June aftershock was at all, until you see this film and you see people responding to what had happened during that time. It's a beautiful film. It is a lovely film, and I'm not a Christchurch person, and I wasn't there, so my experience of the quake has been through newsreel items. And this is still moving to watch, particularly the bits where there are actual, like they capture bits of the audio, right, from radio interviews, such as we're doing. Then suddenly you can hear the earthquake going off, and people's response is very obviously, it's very natural, it's very of the moment. So it is poignant.
And far more personal than the newsreel footage that we normally see.
Yes, it is. I mean, it doesn't do this thing of maybe tracking one family throughout the whole thing. You get snippets of lots and lots of people's experiences. So yes, it is more personal in that regard. But there's more to it than that, right? It isn't just a talking heads thing of, and this is how sad I feel. Well, this is how sad I feel. I think something that's very wise about this film is that it does give you pretty much a complete picture.
And some optimism as well, looking forward to the future.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So triumphing over the adversities there.
Yeah, that's the idea, right? Because we're already looking at the rebuild, and so there are interviews with people who are experts in that field, and there's one chap who's based here but is originally from Scotland, and he takes off to New Orleans. Is it Portland, Oregon, and San Francisco, and talks to people there who have experienced earthquakes and lived through them and rebuilt their cities. And it's important to be able to see, well, look, this is what we could be doing now with this space. We don't have to rebuild it just in the image of what it was, because that was then. This is now. What could we be doing here? And all that sort of thing. And to see how things have worked in the aforementioned cities, and to look at the geology of the region and all that sort of thing. You know what I mean? So that's what I mean by broader. It's not just I experienced an earthquake film.
And like all documentaries, I can imagine it's hard to know when to sort of finish these projects. And more so with a project like this, where the situation obviously in Christchurch is ongoing. So does it feel rushed at all because it has come out so early, or
no? Do you mean, does it feel like it's too soon?
Yeah, or that, you know, that it has been sort of banged out.
No, I suppose it doesn't, because it goes back to September last year. Perhaps if it had all started in February, this may seem a bit rough, because we'd still be very much in our first year. And, you know, one thing I've noted, of course, is that nobody's had their first Christmas yet post the February quakes. But it doesn't seem rushed, and there's a lot in it. There's a lot of footage. If anything, there are maybe bits that you think, oh, it's gone a bit long, maybe they could have cut stuff out.
So
but then I thought...
I heard he's got like over 700 hours of footage.
Well, I'm sure he has, and I'm sure it was very difficult to figure out what to keep in, because actually, even though I felt that at moments it kind of... the pace slows a little, but then it picks up again. But then you think, well, actually, there's nothing in there that we could have done without.
Yeah.
So there were probably, 698, do the math, Sarah, 698 hours of footage that he of good stuff that he could have included.
Yeah.
And there are lovely bits that you didn't get from newsreels. So there are lovely personal interviews and whatnot that are very much sort of off the main grid. Yeah.
Now, I hear that this is going to end up on TV3, but it is something that needs to be seen in a theatre context.
Yeah,
as well.
It is, talk about documentaries nowadays, it is a beautiful film, right from the opening shots across the plains of Christchurch. It's exquisite. I sort of thought, this is like it's ordinary life, but high-definition ordinariness in a way, I would say see it on the big screen for sure. It has a remarkable impact. But I'm glad also that it will be on terrestrial telly, because I think it's the sort of thing that everybody ought to see.
Yeah.
And I'd be very surprised if people didn't feel that they wanted to see it. But what we need to impress upon people is it is not relentlessly grim.
Okay.
It's not just a sad fest at all. But of course it's going to be moving, because it's about real things. But some of the more moving bits are about the nice elements, the beauty of how people came together or are still coming together and helping one another. Those bits might have you in tears more than earthquake footage,
Okay, well, we've been talking about When a City Falls and also Tomboy as well. And you can find Lee Lamont's reviews in the Sunday Star Times and leelamont.wordpress.com. Thanks, Lena. Cheers.
Right, that's all there is to it. This is who people are. They either run or they stay.
If I had the option to go, I'd be gone.
Do we even want to live in Christchurch anymore? It's a big question.
No, I'm not living in Christchurch. No, it's my home.
The human race is incredible in its ability to recover, and Christchurch will recover from this.